What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Holeshot Hustle. I'm your host, Logan Maurer.
And I'm Joe Maurer, and today's episode is a great one, guys. We've got someone in the studio who's been making a serious impact on riders all across Utah, especially this kid sitting right here next to me.
Yeah, for real. Total game changer. Today, we've got a pro motocross racer, trainer, and owner of Next Level MX Training, Skyler Adams.
Skyler's been in the sport for over 20 years, worked his way through the amateur ranks, raced at a national level, and now he's helping develop some of the fastest young talent around. And let me tell you, from what we've seen already with Logan, this guy knows how to get results.
Yeah, just a few sessions of Skyler, everything started to click. Corner speed, line choice, body position, all of it. It's been awesome.
And what really stands out to me is how rider-specific he is. He's not just throwing out generic advice, he's breaking things down for each individual rider and helping them improve fast.
So if you're trying to level up your riding, this is definitely someone you want to be paying attention to.
This episode of the Holeshot Hustle is brought to you by Next Level MX Training.
If you're serious about getting faster, more confident, and more consistent on the bike, Skyler Adams at Next Level MX Training is the real deal. From beginners to advanced racers, he works one-on-one with riders to break down technique and build speed the right way.
Whether it's cornering, jumps, race strategy, or just becoming a smarter rider overall, Skyler's got the experience and the eye to take you to that next level.
And also brought to you by Delta Fit.
Delta Fit is where champions are built off the bike. Strength, conditioning, endurance, everything you need to stay strong, avoid injuries, and perform at your best when it matters most.
If you want to be competitive, you can't just train on the bike. You've got to put in the work off the bike too. Delta Fit has you covered.
All right, let's get into episode 15 with Skyler Adams.
Let's do it. Welcome back to the Holeshot Hustle. How are you doing, Skyler Adams?
I'm good. Thanks for having me in.
It's great to have you here, man. Thanks for making the journey all the way from, well, I was going to say Mesquite, but you actually came from north today, yeah?
Yeah, today I was up north.
Took a couple of days to go home and regroup.
Yeah, I went home, saw the family, saw some friends. I got a buddy that's leaving on a mission, actually.
Nice.
Trained him for a few years, now he's leaving on a mission, so he leaves tomorrow, so I wanted to say bye and say goodbye and came right back here.
Well, man, it's awesome to have you in the studio. We've been, you followed Logan and Logan's followed you, I think, for a few years now. Mm-hmm. But I honestly have never really met you until recently. I noticed you were training a lot of the faster kids in the 85 class. Tell me if I'm getting it wrong. Erkenbrack?
Yep.
Hansen?
Yep.
The Jukes?
Yep.
And I think there's a few others, right, that are getting pretty fast.
I got a big group of 85 kids that have been kind of brought them up with me a little bit. They started out, maybe like Ryden started on a 65. He's worked his butt off and his parents have supported him a lot. And then kind of just brought them up with me, and we've worked a lot with a big group of good kids that have really dedicated a lot, their families and them. So I've got a big group of probably 8 85s. Britt just moved on to a big bike. He's got that 125 and he's crazy fast on it. It's scaring me.
He is fast.
Yeah, he also has a 250 now, and I don't even want to ride with him. I'm like, dude, you ride. I don't want to try to follow you. I don't want to embarrass myself.
He has gotten dang fast. Yeah. And I noticed, Logan took a couple of years off, and then we did a different series last year, and it wasn't quite as competitive as RMX, and so he wasn't really grinding with all these fast kids all summer. And so coming back this winter series, he just really seemed like he'd even lost speed from last winter series, and I'm like, man, and I saw you standing out there, and I knew that you had been training some of these kids, and so I was like, I wonder if he can do anything for Logan. And so I came up and, hey man, what do you think about working with Logan? And I was really immediately impressed because that first day,
been a game changer.
Yeah, Logan was, coming back to the pits, and he's like, man, he told me, this and that and the other. I mean, immediately you were giving him, such great feedback about several things. And so, yeah, it really has been a game changer, for him. And so we really appreciated that about you, that you are that rider specific. Mm-hmm. You're not just kind of lumping everybody into a group. You're like actually taking the time to look at each rider. And it's amazing that you can stand there and clock, 5 or 6 different riders and what they're doing.
It gets real hard, especially when you get people trying to talk to you, which is kind of all part of it, right? Everyone wants to talk, or a kid will stop and just say, "Oh, I almost crashed over there. Did you see that?" I'm like, dude, I'm like trying to follow everything right now. But yeah, I try to be a lot more rider specific, because I know everyone's got their own bad habits. Everyone's got their own little things they got to work on. And then not everyone's the same, right? Everyone learns a little bit different. You know, you got to talk to some kids a little bit different than others. But I think that's one of my strengths, of being able to talk to people, kids, you know. I mean, I even train some older people, and just be able to break it down and explain it a little bit different, or in a way that someone can kind of grasp it, and then also, you know, apply it and show me that it makes sense to them while they ride.
Right. Well, you know, I don't know a ton about you, man. Take us back to the beginning. How old were you when you got involved with dirt bikes?
We got a family PW80 when I was 6, and I inherited that pretty quickly and called it my own. And I live out. I grew up in Eagle Mountain, city center. I don't know if you guys know where that is, but it's kind of like this. It's kind of off.
Eagle Mountain. Now that's kind of adjacent to Salem, right?
So Eagle Mountain is, you know, Saratoga and Lehigh is.
Yeah.
It's west about 20 minutes.
Oh, okay.
Eagle Mountain now, everyone thinks, you know, Saratoga and Eagle Mountain kind of like touch each other. City Center is in the middle of nowhere by itself, which was good and bad because we were far from everything, but it was just a little group of houses, and then there was nothing. So I could go ride. I had buddies that rode too. We would go build jumps. So I could go out there and be a kid and grind and ride my dirt bike, because that's just what I loved. I didn't even race. I just was always out there. So we had that PW80 for I don't even know how long, probably a few years, and then we had just needed something. I started jumping the PW80, and the exhaust would break off, and I would have to ride it back, go grab the exhaust and ride it back, and my dad would weld it on in the garage, and I could go back out. So cut to a few years after that, I mean, I got a 65, and I always wanted to race, and we just never did until I got to that 65 and kind of got some rides, I guess, under my belt. And then that's when Desert Peak is in Twilla, and they had a pretty good, like a night arena cross race going on, and that's kind of where it all started. And then we went to RMR as well, and we rode both of those series for years up until basically until RMX started. And that's kind of who I've raced with since, just because I love their tracks, and you know, there's a lot more, like you were saying earlier, it's competitive, right?
Yeah, it's a professional series. I mean, that's where all the fast kids want to be, and they do that deep prep, and they put a lot into it for sure.
Yeah, so that's kind of how I got started, you know, on the PW80 and then the 65, and kind of graduated up from there to the 85, and then little super mini, and then on to big bikes.
Did your parents race or something, or
no? It was just us. My dad rode a little bit. Like, him and his brother had a bike, and they'd like share it, like when they were old. Like, I was a kid, and when I was little, I don't know, I have this real slight memory of like a 252 stroke starting up in the garage and me just shaking and being just so excited. And I don't know, I've just loved it.
And where did the idea to go start racing come from?
I remember picking at my dad, always wanting to race, you know, but it was never like, we knew nothing. The sport has grown so much, even locally, that like it's so easy to find stuff, and that might be like the internet or, you know, social media makes it a little bit easier to get and to find things. But just being young, I just want to race. I just want to race.
Now, I hate to date you. What year was this when you started racing?
Let's say like 2004, maybe.
Gotcha.
No. We're probably like 2005. 4 or 5, somewhere in there.
Gotcha. Okay.
And yeah, I mean, that was like the Twilla days, maybe like into RMR a little bit. But yeah, we kind of just got into it. We used to go to the sand dunes kind of as a family, and we had 4-wheelers, and I had a bike. My dad had a bike, and we would go with my cousins, and they all had something, or their parents had 4-wheelers or whatever. And we kind of just moved from the sand dunes to the races, and I just haven't stopped.
Nice.
How was your How'd you feel when you went out for your first race?
That's the one thing. I do not remember racing my first race, but I remember it being so cold and they canceled it because it was raining so hard. But I don't remember being on the track and having it be muddy. I know I rode, but I don't remember exactly how it went, other than sitting in the grandstands and just being freezing.
my first race was a mudder too.
The infamous St. George mud race. The last one at SGMX.
Yeah, that was bad.
Yeah, I that was my first race.
How did you do?
I got first. Somehow I crashed. I just remember going over berms almost consistently, and I was just trying to stay up, and that was my main focus, and I didn't even know I won. I just kept going and kind of looking back. I'm like, is anyone close to me? I'm like, no, I'm just having fun riding. So I just kept going, and then later we just went to go check if I got a trophy, and sure enough, I won. So.
Sweet.
Well, I don't think you actually did. So he won one moto, and then your second one, your bike wouldn't start. You remember that? You got like partway down there, and I was watching him go down to the gate, and he just stopped. And I didn't know a ton about it then.
Typical 50.
Yeah, and I think what it ended up being is the spark plug boot had come loose or something like that.
Oh.
But he missed his second moto, and we had him in the wrong class. So he was on a 50 SX, so it was the 12-inch front wheel. Mm-hmm. But we had signed him up for the smaller wheel or something. So he raced that race and then won in Delta before we figured out we actually had him in the wrong class. Yeah, essentially we had him in the wrong class, and then we bumped him to the 7 to 8 with the 12-inch front wheel. Mm-hmm. And then, but he still did pretty good. He was out for points for that because he had raced in the wrong class for 2 races, but he ended up winning the Triple Crown and then won the Utah State Championship, got his first number 1 plate. Sweet. So yeah, it was a good first year. Huh?
Yeah, I still have the trophy.
Yeah, you got a lot over there.
So so mud race, rain, you don't remember it. What's the first race you do remember? What's your first racing memory?
To pinpoint one, it would probably be, I don't know why, but in one of those arena cross races at Desert Peak, there was these whoops, and I remember them being massive, and they probably were so small. It was like 60. It was probably 65 beginner. I remember being on a 65, and I don't know what got into me. They were there every week, and I wasn't super fast on them. But for one weekend on a certain day, I figured him out and was able to go fast. I remember my dad being like, "You're going so fast right there," and no one really videoed really back then, so it was just like, "Oh, cool, I'm going fast, whatever." But that stuck with me too, being there. We were there. It seemed like every weekend there was a race there. Every Friday night. It was like Friday night under the lights, and that's just where we were. And
this is at Deseret Peak, right?
Yep. Yeah.
And then they're not open as much anymore, are they?
No, I think the county runs it, or the county ran it back then too. But yeah, I don't know. But those were really cool, and they got a lot of people. That race specifically, that series got a lot of people into racing.
And was this RMR?
No, yeah, that was totally separate. That was the county running their own races in Tooele.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, gotcha. And then we learned about RMR, and then it was like, oh, cool, now we can do more.
Right. Yeah, Crew and Cohen were telling us about RMR. I'd never heard of it, but yeah, that sounds like it was a
and cool RMR was really good too because it was Friday night under the lights too.
Okay, yeah.
And RMR was a sweet facility. They had all the like drag strips and like the oval and stuff, and then they had a dirt bike track on the side of a hill with lights.
Dang.
And it was cool.
I wish they did more of that.
Yeah.
We've only ever done one under the lights race, and I think it was
Mesquite.
2019 in Mesquite before RMX took over.
Oh, really?
The Thanksgiving, I remember it was a night race, and me and Deegan Gale, right? Dagan? No, not Dagan.
Not Deegan, his brother, I think, probably, right?
Yeah, his brother. Anyways.
Chance Sharon.
Yeah. And I remember racing there, and it was so cool because it was like dark and the moon was shining super bright. But like you could see the track really well, and it was just really fun. I remember
there were some really dark parts. It was not very well lit, but it was cool. I wish they did more of that.
I did some of those. There was, I don't know when it was, but they were running like summer series before RMX had it, and maybe not a summer series, but there was like a summer night race. And it was so cool out there.
Yeah.
It was different because you would get off the track and it was 114 degrees and the sun wasn't out. It's like, what is going on?
Right.
So it was unique, but they were really cool. It was cool to go down there. That was like a long haul for us. Be like, oh, let's go race in Mesquite. That's so cool.
So tell us about your first series. But like, I guess what got you hooked? Do you remember what got you hooked about it?
I don't remember what got me hooked. I think it was just what I did. It was like
Just like
Fun.
riding.
I just loved to ride, and so we would get out and we would go there. We would race. I mean, like I said, it seemed like every weekend there was, between those two, Desert Peak and RMR, there was always somewhere to race. But it wasn't like now where there's facilities or there's like practice nights or practice weekends. It was like, we're racing on Friday. All right, we'll be there. And then the next weekend would come around. We're racing on Friday. Okay. And then if it was summer, like I said, we lived in the middle of nowhere. So I would just go ride there for fun. I wasn't working on anything. I was just riding. I was just getting Z time because I loved it.
Right.
So that was, I don't know. Yeah, those nights were fun. I was probably 8, 9, 10 years old. Those are just nights I won't forget, that's for sure.
Nice. And what year did RMX come around?
I believe they were like 2009, 2010.
And what race did you race with them first?
I don't even know where it would have been. I remember we went to Mona, the Mountain West MX Park,
Okay.
a few times.
Did
Delta.
they used to race at Mona?
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
RMX did.
Yeah,
Really?
Bunker Hill. There was always like Rupert.
Didn't we do a Mona one?
Well, we've
Oh,
raced at Mona, but it wasn't RMX. Like they came there for a grassroots kind of thing once, but it wasn't like RMX.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, I didn't know that. I didn't know that they ever did.
Yeah, we
Mountain
used to
West.
race there a few times actually.
Huh.
It was cool.
Love Mountain West.
Yeah, it's a fun track.
That's a great stop for us when it's open because his grandma lives in Salem, so
Oh, perfect.
we can come check off a box.
Yeah.
Grandma visit a couple of days and go
Works for everybody.
do some practice at racing. Yeah. Well, that's awesome. I'd like to know more about, I'd like to get RMX in here someday and like talk to them about how they got started
Yeah,
because
that'd be cool.
I'd be interested to know,
Mm-hmm.
go back to the roots with them too. So that's cool. I had no idea. But you raced, so when RMX came around, then you would have been like on an 85?
Yep. Yeah. 85 and super minis. When we
How was
started.
your first race at an RMX?
I was never fast on an 85.
Really?
There were guys like I was, from 5 to 8 was like kind of where I sat, and that's kind of I feel like where I've been almost my whole life.
That's like you.
Yeah.
Right now.
What?
5 to 8.
No.
Sometimes that's good.
Yeah.
It's good for me right now, but at least I got a 4th place finish in one of my motos.
That's true.
There you go. 4 to 8.
So 85 didn't really click with you, huh?
I mean, it did. Like I could go to like RMR. I was really good at RMR or those Desert Peak stuff, But RMX, it still brought those faster guys, right? Those little, I call them like local races, like Desert Peak and RMR, really small town, like city stuff, right? It was just like for fun. And then you'd go to RMX and you get guys that are doing like trying for Loretta's or going to bigger nationals or so that was like really eye opening because it was never winning,
Right.
especially on those 85s or super minis. I was always like a 5th place was good.
So when did you really start getting fast then?
Started taking it a little bit more seriously when I started to get older. I raced a lot. I mean, I've always raced for fun because I love it, right? And then when I started into big bikes, maybe even like late big bikes, like 16 years old, 16 to 18. For some reason, I've always loved arena cross. I feel like it comes more naturally to me. It might be because those night races under the lights they're tighter tracks, right? They're not wide open, they're not ruddy, they're not crazy like that. So when I was about 18 or 19, we decided to hit some of the big arena cross races. There's a national series. At the time it was the AMSOIL arena cross, and it was all televised, and there was like factory teams and everything. So we're like, okay, let's do this. This will be really fun. And at the time, right then, that's how you got your pro license. And then you could go race a supercross race if you wanted to, or you could go to the pro nationals. So that was like my goal. I was like, I've always wanted to race pro. That'd be awesome. Like real pro, you know, not like local stuff. So I ended up like training. I ended up working hard in the gym. I was like riding with purpose at that point. And we went to the race. Me and my dad drove there, and there was, I think, 3 qualifying practices. In the first qualifying practice, there's always that like sweeper left out of the gates of an arena cross race, right? I don't know how many laps I was in, but my front end slid out, and I heard my knee just, I was like, ooh, that hurts. I can't bend it. I just got to keep riding like we're here. So got through the session and ended up like not great, right? Like it was like a real arena cross track, and I had never ridden anything like that. I had suspension for it and everything, but there was nowhere to like practice that stuff. Aside from like maybe some stuff they were doing like in Salt Lake or something small like that. And I remember like walking around with my dad, because you had your qualifying, and then there was like kind of like some dead time before the next one. And I remember like not being able to bend my knee, and I'm like walking weird. And he's like, "You good?" I'm like, "I hope so. I don't know. Just keep going." So I went out for the next one, and I ended up making a stupid mistake, and I dabbed my foot in the whoops. Like they were monster whoops, and I was trying to blitz them, and my foot came off, and it just hit my foot, and I think that finished it off. And I remember laying on the berm, and no one would come help me. And I'm like, I am dying here. This is killing me. So I ended up tossing like tough blocks, like trying to get people to come help me. And they were like landing on the track, and people were clobbering them. But I ended up getting off, and sure enough, tore my ACL, my meniscus, and that was the end of that.
Dang, what was the recovery time for that? Did you have to have surgery? I imagine. Yeah.
Yeah, that was probably one of the worst ones I've had, just recovery-wise. Like the surgery was just a normal surgery, but then you get home, and I was like non-weight bearing for like 4 weeks. And that was the hard part, because I don't just sit around. Like I don't play video games. I don't do anything. Like that's what I do. I ride dirt bikes.
Right.
So, just sitting on the couch and doing everything. And the recovery on a knee is pretty gnarly. It doesn't feel good.
I'll bet. That story brings to mind. Did you get life flighted from Mesquite like a couple of years ago?
Yeah, I did.
Was that you?
That was me.
Okay, yeah, that just popped in my mind. I'm connecting the dots. What happened there?
They had some rollers there, and kind of there where the tower is now.
Right.
I don't really know. I hit my head pretty good. And everyone that says they saw it has a different story. So I'm not quite sure what happened, but it was in those rollers. I'm sure I high-sided or something and just came down, and I ended up breaking my femur. I got a laundry list. There was a femur, there was both collarbones, a scapula, my T5 or T8 or something, and then my collar or my head. So they life flighted me to St. George, and I was there for 2 weeks, and I remember little tiny bits and pieces of it, and then I remember leaving. So I don't know.
We were there that day.
Oh, really?
I didn't see it, but I remember the helicopter coming in, like who and again, this is before I officially met you, so I was like, oh, I kind of know who that is, and yeah, so like as you were telling that story, I was like, I think that was Skyler.
It's all coming back.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Dang.
it was like a dragon's back type thing back then.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was pretty scary for me too. Even just going over it was pretty like it got bad fast.
Yeah, I remember there was had like almost a split section in it, and you could go all the way outside, or there was like a little berm on the inside.
Right.
I mean, that's all I remember about it, but it was like a unique section. I thought it was pretty fun.
Yeah.
But I guess maybe not so fun.
Yeah, that's quite a list of injuries, man. How long did it take you before you got back on a bike with all that stuff?
I was about a year, I think.
Gotcha.
And really, the femur was the only thing holding me back at that point. I mean, you could get, if you break a femur and you get a rod put in, they make you walk in the hospital, right? That was challenging because I had a broken scapula and then 2 broken collarbones, so it's not like I could use a walker necessarily. Right. So it was challenging there for a little bit. But, yeah, I think it was about a year before I got on the bike, and then even after that, it's still like it's not the same anymore.
Oh, really?
my leg is pretty beat up. My leg, my knee.
You have some like residual pain.
Yeah,
or
up
something?
into my hip. Like I'm always tied. I can't like work it out. It just doesn't do what it should. It probably doesn't help that the ACL injury was that same knee.
Gotcha.
So it's kind of like a lot of trauma on that one side.
That sucks, dude. You mentioned you wanted to go pro and getting your pro card, and that's something I was going to ask you about. You know, I've never like really put a lot of, because he's so young, I haven't really put a lot of thought into that. But I know that there's probably some viewers that are like, how do we go pro? Mm-hmm. What is the recipe for that? I've always felt like it was like you got to do a certain number of nationals or something like that, a certain number of points, and then you can qualify to apply. Is that the way that works?
Yeah, it's pretty much it. If you're talking like a pro license to go do pro nationals or supercross now, that is it. There's a certain amount of races that pay pro points is what I think they call them. And you need X amount of points, and each race pays X amount of points. And the better you do, the more points you get paid towards your license, right? Or if you make it to Loretta's in an A class, you automatically get a license.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
So actually, I didn't know that until I made it to Loretta's, and I'm like, I think I just got a license. I was like, oh, sweet.
What year did you go to Loretta's the first time?
19 was my first year.
2019.
Yep.
Gotcha. Wow.
So my first year racing.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Oh, you're young.
Yeah.
How was it? How was it your first time?
My first time was not great. I was in Preston a few weeks before, just trying to get some laps in, some motos in, and I ended up crashing in like the rollers in the back and broke my collarbone. Like I think it was like 2 or 3 weeks before I had to go.
Oh no.
And I was like, well, this is a once in a lifetime opportunity. I got to go. So I ended up going still and racing, but it was nothing to write home about.
Really?
But a really cool experience. I wouldn't give that up for anything. That's something I've always wanted to do. And I remember being your age and watching videos of Loretta's and watching every moto and watching like some clips of it and be like, that would be so cool to do.
It looms large for these little guys, huh?
Right.
For sure. How many times have you been total?
I've raced in it 3 times.
Nice. Right on. What was your last year that you went?
Just this last year.
Okay.
24, 5. I get my years mixed up.
How'd you do?
Not great, man. Every time I go there, I've got some dumb issue. My first moto this year, I had a rock hit my goggles on the start, and it popped my lens halfway out. So I was like riding blind most of that moto. My second moto, I think I crashed my second moto. And then my third moto was like my best moto. My goal when I was there was to be like a top 20 guy. Because if you're top 20 and if you were watching on TV, you'll know this if you watch. The top 20 names are on the board. So then you can watch, like people watching at home can see you moving up and down or being in 20th and staying there. But if you're anywhere below 20 below 20, you don't get your name on the board. So
right.
Everyone at home's like, what's going on?
Yeah.
And it's just cool to have your name on the board, especially because that's something I've never had. So,
and they definitely only film like the top 3. Like they don't.
Yeah.
You're nowhere.
Yeah.
On film.
It's not cool. Yeah. If you're on film, you're getting lapped. And I've got a few of those clips.
And I was surprised when we got there. I was expecting it to be a little bit more like RMX, like we were going to have a practice day and we are going to get several practices. Nope.
No.
What do you get? One?
Yeah,
One
I got
practice?
like one practice that was like
I mean,
4
that's
laps.
garbage.
Yeah. It's crazy.
And
And
I'm
the
like-
track's like
And as
sucks.
soon as I ride
Yeah.
that, I'm like, holy cow, how am I supposed to ride this with 4 laps? And I just go out and race. It's like desert almost.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that I would say that was the most shocking thing for us is we had no idea, and then you find out after you go that like there's all kinds of replica tracks you can stop at on your way there.
Right.
We had no idea. We were just like, well, we'll show up and we'll get a good practice day and
just race.
No.
Just race.
Yeah, totally unprepared for all that.
Yeah, it's usually how the first time goes.
Yeah, but Tennessee was so amazing.
Yeah,
it was just humid, and luckily I didn't go on like a rainy race.
Yeah,
it was kind of sprinkling, like really like light rainwater, and it smelled really nice. It like watered the track perfectly. It wasn't flooded or anything.
Yeah,
so
it's all green. You're not like racing in the desert like here.
Yeah.
It all looks nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very green.
Have you ever raced a mud race there?
Luckily, no. I don't know how I've missed it every time. One year, I don't know what year it was, but I missed the rain. We left. I got through all my motos and we left, and the next day was like a mudder.
Oh boy!
So luckily, because I cannot ride in the mud.
Yeah, I could not imagine the mud on that track with that type of dirt.
Yeah.
No.
And with all those guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, crazy.
What's your what is your favorite national?
Like national, like a pro national, or just anything?
I guess I don't know. Like Ponca or
okay, yeah,
that kind of stuff.
Springading's really fun. Oak Hill is a fun track, and it's unique because it's a sand track, and I don't love sand, but it's a really fun flowy layout that also gets rough. Being from here, Logan knows this. It's hard to ride a track that's not rough once you're like riding in Mesquite so much, because it's hard to turn when you don't have a rut because you're used to all of these lines.
It's true.
So I like to find, and maybe not find, but go to those races that are rough, because that's kind of where I shine, because that's the only thing we ride down here. We don't ride these California stuff, right?
Yeah, like when I switched, like I've been riding Mesquite for so long, doing practices, training in 22. Then we went to California, and it was completely different. It was just like no ruts, just like almost a race car track.
Yeah, just hard.
Go
It's
as
like a
fast as you
freeway.
can.
Yeah, just pin it. And those California kids can do that.
Yeah.
And it's hard. It's hard for us because we don't ever get that, right? Those are really wide open tracks, fast tracks. Everything we have here, aside from I think Bunker Hill is pretty fast. I would call that fast. Everything we have here is real tight.
Yeah.
So it's so different.
Do you have a track that you absolutely hate to race at?
I have never done good in Preston or Rupert.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like I didn't even go this last year because I'm like, I don't love those tracks. Why am I going?
Not even Preston?
No, the dirt is awesome.
Yeah, the dirt.
But I've never been good there.
Gotcha.
Which I don't know why.
That's interesting. Yeah, I'd say that's one of our favorites.
I like
Really?
it. I love it.
Yeah.
Wasn't that the one I did that mud race in?
Yeah, that was the mud race.
Oh, that was
22.
like the worst mud race I've had.
Yeah, you were there too. You said, yeah, the mud
That
race.
was bad.
Yeah.
That was a water race.
Literally. Like my
Don't.
bike was halfway in the mud, and then water just everywhere, just going through water puddles.
Yeah.
It's like in the ocean, like
Yeah.
a dirty ocean.
That was a fun one though.
Yeah.
Like it ended up being fun, but yeah.
Because there was like not a lot of people. You could just go out and just try your best and get all muddy. It's like, if you like the mud, do that.
It sounds like
Like
you're good in the
swimming in
mud.
the mud.
If you don't like the mud, you don't want to go out there.
Yeah.
Neither he nor my wife, I think. My wife was like, well, looks like we're going to be packing up. And Logan was kind of like, yeah, I guess, But I was like, no,
You're riding.
we're going to have to do a mud race occasionally. We're here. We might as well go. And they were both looking at me like, you're insane. But
You're going to need to do one eventually.
yeah, you're going to
I
have to.
ended up liking it.
Yeah, you're going to have to do one eventually. And at that point, we were in the chase for the championship points. It was like, you pretty much have to. Let's
Right?
do it.
If that's what you're doing, you've already gone through the whole year. You might as well do the last two races, even if they are mudders.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
that
yeah.
was
Should
fun
we
race.
tell them the story where we almost missed the last race?
No, because we already told that on one of the last episodes. Yeah. That year, basically synopsis, that year I wasn't really keeping track of points, and I had no idea. And we did that race, the mud race, and the final one was Rupert.
Mm-hmm.
And we were so burnt out. We get burned out.
Mm-hmm.
I'm almost 50. So like we just get burnt out by the end of the series.
There's a lot of traveling when you live out here.
Dude, serious. And we were just like, ugh, we're done. And we were trying to get out the door to go to Rupert, but we were barking at each other, and the whole family was just kind of clashing. And I just was like, it shouldn't be this hard.
Mm-hmm.
We're not going. And so we kind of got unpacked and took everything out of the trailer. And then our Logan's best friend's mom, Shannon, she was the most recent episode that's out right now. She called us and was like, "Are you guys on your way to Rupert?" And I'm like, "No, I don't think we're going to go." And she's like, "You're crazy. Logan's winning in 5 classes, And I go, "He is?" And she's like, "You don't know this?" And I'm like, "I had no idea."
We've just been racing. We don't keep track of it.
Yeah, serious.
Yeah.
And so I got on there and I'm like, yeah, sure enough, you're like, you just have to show up pretty much,
Yeah.
So I was like, I guess we're going to Rupert. So yeah, we got there late and
Oh, that's funny.
ended up doing it. But yeah, if we hadn't,
It's a good thing she called.
if we hadn't, he probably wouldn't have won any of them. I doubt it. I don't know how that would have turned out, but we probably wouldn't have won. But
Yeah, looking at that, I just remember the all-star races they used to have on Sunday.
Yeah.
That was fun.
Yep. Pala too is a nightmare for us. Do you like Pala?
I like it there.
Do you?
I like
Yeah.
the track, but every time I get really badly injured. Got a
Really?
hole in my leg the first time. Then the second time, got a really bad concussion. Like,
I don't like
every
going to
time
Pala.
I race there, it's not good.
I'd like to get down to California a little bit more though. Now that we got the moto van, we haven't drove down there a lot because
Makes it a little easier when you got a van.
Yeah. Pull up right to your hotel room door.
Yep, lock it and you're done. Not worried about everything getting taken.
What's your favorite California track?
Probably Paula.
Is it?
I like that track. I know a lot of people don't like Glen Helen. I think Glen Helen's cool. We don't get hills in Utah.
Yeah.
Right.
There's no hills in Utah, and if there are, they don't get rough like Glen Helen.
Yeah.
You can go to Glen Helen on any day they're open, and by noon there's bumps, and you can jump bumps. You don't really get that anywhere.
I didn't
that I
know a
see.
lot of people didn't like Glen Helen. I loved it when I went there.
I've only rode it a handful of times, but every time I ride it, I'm like, this is fun.
Mm-hmm. You like that big uphill?
Yes.
I've never done the huge one.
Oh, really?
I've seen it, but that's massive.
I've done
Maybe
it.
if I had to do that, I wouldn't like it.
When did you get into training? How did that start? Do you remember what year that was?
That had to have been like 2016, 2017, somewhere in there.
Gotcha.
I actually ended up working for someone that was training people.
Oh,
And
really?
I was helping him, and then it ended up just kind of not working out. He had another business that he was really focusing on, and I ended up just starting my own and just been doing it since.
Yeah.
I think the first time I ever saw your name that I can remember, did you used to have like some painted parking blocks at Mountain West?
Yeah, I did.
Okay.
Had like some stickers out there.
Something like that.
Uh-huh.
I remember seeing those. We were at Mountain West our first couple of years, like for a Halloween classic or
Yep.
whatever for the Utah Moto Co. or whatever it was. And,
Yeah.
and I remember seeing your name and I was like, who's that? You know?
That's funny.
And- yeah, that's cool. So you would have been what, like about 18, 19,
Yeah,
something
18 or
like
19, somewhere in there.
that? Nice.
Yeah.
And how long were you with the other guy before you kind of broke off and started doing your own
I
thing?
think it was only about a year, maybe two like seasons. So like just like 2 summers maybe. But yeah, I guess it all worked out.
Do you think you would have gotten into it if you hadn't been, working with him? Do you think you would have still branched off and done that?
I don't know if it all could. I don't know. I think it's really hard to have 2 trainers. Maybe not 2 trainers, but how it was working was he was working on his business, which I don't blame him at all. And then there was all the kids would I would schedule everything and do everything, and then I would end up training him because he would get busy at work. And I was like, well, this isn't working out because now money wasn't working out at that point because I was doing all the work. So it was a little touchy subject, I think, but I think everything's fine now. But yeah, for the first little bit, it was a little tough.
And did you have a private track at that point, or were you just going out?
Yeah, he had a track, which made it really nice.
Gotcha. Okay.
But I ended up just going to like OCA, some stuff at Jordan River, some private track stuff or some public track stuff to do all my stuff.
What's your favorite Utah track?
Probably Bunker Hill. I think everyone likes Bunker Hill. Bunker Hill is fun.
It is fun.
It is. I like the sand section that they have with like the little rollers, kind of like turns. That's really cool.
Yeah, I think other than that, there's not a lot of tracks around anymore.
Yeah.
When I was growing up, it seemed like on a Saturday you could go to probably 5 or 6 different places.
Is that right?
There was a lot of places to ride, and they were like real tracks, but they just been slowly closing down, which is weird because now the sport is bigger than it's ever been. I think
It's
locally.
serious. Yeah, isn't that weird? And we just had the guys from Pairworks in here last night, and we were talking about this. Like, you know, they don't get any help from the county, and they're completely trying to do it on their own, foot the bill on their own. You know, and it's just weird. It's, you know, all these farmers and stuff that are like, quit riding near our land, or, you know, and it's like, well, if you don't want them to ride, you know, people are going to ride dirt bikes no matter what. And if you don't want them to ride, give them a place to ride.
Yeah.
You know?
Definitely.
That's simple.
Yeah. There's a lot of bikes around, even if you don't race. There's a lot of people that just ride.
Yeah.
Just ride for fun, and they still need somewhere to go.
So at this point, you were saying you have your own training track.
Mm-hmm.
And where is that located?
That's in Vernon.
Vernon.
Yep. About 30 minutes south of Tooele.
Gotcha. And when do you start that up? I mean, you're in Mesquite right now. What time of year do you usually start that up?
So typically I'm waiting on all the snow to go away, but this year has been so weird. It's usually snow and the daylight is what I'm waiting on. So
Gotcha.
Daylight savings is usually around like middle of March. So I can usually get that up and going like middle of March, and then sometimes kind of into April depending on snow, but I don't think we're getting any this year somehow.
Right. Well, how many days a week do you train out there?
So I'm out there Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. I do group sessions just in the evenings. In the summers, we do like 1 or 2 sessions. So in the mornings in the summer, just because everyone's out of school, right? But yeah, it's been a really good place.
I wish we lived closer so we could get Logan up there a little bit more. Yeah.
Yes.
Maybe we'll have to try and make it work.
Yeah, where do you ride?
I usually just ride down in Mesquite or like Bunker Hill when it's open, and then sometimes when none of them are open, I kind of just go ride Pairworks for a little bit. But
we don't really ride. That's the thing. Like our first year, 2019, and I think even into 2020, our ace in the hole was Mesquite, because before RMX took over, they were pretty much open all year.
Yeah.
And so we'd go down there every single weekend, and we'd just get there at 6:30 or 6 or whatever in the morning, get our laps in, and be done by like 10 when it was starting to get hot. And that was kind of our ace in the hole down this way.
Still had somewhere to go.
Yeah, the Salt Lake guys have Jordan River and Tooele when it was open and stuff, but we would sneak down there, and it got progressively tougher. Once that changed. We just had to kind of rely on whatever RMX had open, you know, whatever they were, if that was Delta, we moved to Delta. And then when it was the Cache Valley, I remember a couple of years there, we'd just drive to Cache Valley every weekend because they were in Cache Valley. Yeah. We'd just drive there.
Nowhere else to go.
Yeah. And then, I wouldn't usually tow our trailer. I would just go there and then like go to his grandma's house in Salem and then drive back up. But that's still like 2 hours, 2.5 hours, but that's just what we had to do. So, yeah, I wish somebody would get something off the ground down here or something like that.
Yeah, like we had Iron Mine, which was a really good track. I liked it, but then they just closed down like really fast, and I was kind of sad because it was literally like super close to us, not going to lie.
Really?
Yeah.
Did you ever ride Iron Mine?
No, whose like supercross track is off the freeway down here?
Oh, yeah, that.
I believe that is the Davises. Bryce Davis? I've never personally met him. We follow who I think it is on Instagram, and I think that they just kind of own like a construction company or something like that, and then they built that track. But we've never been able to go out and ride it. But
it looks like a cool like amateur supercross track.
Yeah.
Looks sweet.
Yeah.
It does look cool.
Like I feel like I could ride that.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's kind of like not so big as supercross. It's like a little mini one.
Mm-hmm.
But I like how like the jumps are not triples. They're like pretty big doubles and all that. I think that would be really sick.
Yeah.
Powerworks is trying to get, you know,
I've heard they've had a lot of drama trying to get all their stuff off the ground.
Yeah.
they really have. You know, it's been tough for them, but you know, it's starting to come together. They've been reworking the main track, and
Done a lot.
hopefully maybe this year, now that they've got the well, they've got their water truck, and they've really been reworking the main track. You know, hopefully it could turn into something to where we could get some seat time
Get
in.
out there.
Otherwise, you know, I was talking to Chris Millicum recently, and you know, we may do the Barn MX thing for Mona, just because his grandma lives right there in Salem, so that's such a short, you know, trip. You know, if we could get up there,
your closest track too.
we got some place to stay while we're there.
Yeah.
You know, so yeah. But if not, you know, we might be trying to figure out a place to stay up there by you, and
Right.
you know, would love to come train with you. It's just it's such a jaunt out there.
Yeah,
you know?
you're far.
Do you have a question for Skyler?
I was just gonna say, who's your favorite pro?
I love Chase. Chase Sexton is, I don't know what it is about him. I think it's just because he keeps on failing and keeps on riding.
He tucks that front a lot, doesn't he?
He does, and you can almost call it every other weekend, but for some reason I'm like, he's still got it. He's still fast.
Yeah, I think I like him because he's fast, he's good, but he also like fails a lot, and it's kind of like cool, like not. I just lost the thought, but
What do you think about Jet?
I like Jet. He's definitely changing the sport, I believe, but it's not fun to watch him.
That's exactly the way I feel. He's boring.
It's not fun to watch a guy 20 seconds out. Like it's fun to watch him and watch what he's doing, but I want to see people battling. I want to see someone coming from 20th. I don't want to see him hole shotting and just leaving every single race.
Sexton's good at doing that. He comes from the back of the pack to like top 5, and it's crazy to watch.
He's good at getting bad starts and still getting through the pack.
What about this controversial rider? What about Deegan?
It kind of the same way.
Really? You find him boring?
Yeah.
Really?
Like I like to watch just him ride, just him race, because he's amazing.
Yeah.
But it's boring to watch him race because he just wins. There's no question. If he's in 10th place around the first corner, doesn't matter. He's winning.
He battles a lot, though. Like
he does battle. He's scrappy.
Oh,
he's
man.
scrappy.
And he pulls off some stuff that I'm like, how in the world? That was like superhuman. Like, how did he keep it up?
Yeah.
Doing some of that stuff. Yeah. He's an incredible rider. I love the drama he brings. A lot of people hate it. I actually really like it because I find it entertaining. He talks smack and he rides a little on the dirty edge, but, you know, like, it's entertaining, you know. I'm not saying it's right or anything but it is definitely entertaining, you know. Like, I would much rather watch a race with Deegan than like Jet. You know, Jet, you like fall asleep halfway through. You're like,
he's too nice. He can just he's fast enough to just get around people.
Right.
It's not exciting.
He's like so smooth and so good. It just looks like he's not even trying.
Yeah.
He's just
What do you think about Tomac? You think he's got a chance at all this year?
That's one of my other guys. I love Tomac. And watching him on that KTM, he looks really good.
He definitely, I thought that was a huge mistake. I'll be honest. I thought that was going to be a huge mistake, but
I did too.
It looks like it fits him pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, he's good on it.
Yeah.
He's been good on really everything he's been on.
Right.
He's just amazing.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. What are your plans? Do you have any racing plans this year?
Yeah, I've kind of taken a step back from racing, just slightly. I've had a lot of bike problems, blowing up bikes and stuff, and I'm just like so frustrated. And then when I'm down here, I'm always training on the weekends.
Mm-hmm.
So it makes it hard. It's really hard to train and then go out there and ride too, just because of how the schedule works out. I'm like, I either get like 10 minutes on my bike and then I have to hurry and go back just to be back for the next practice. So I kind of take a little step back with that, but I need to start riding again. There's some races in Texas. There's Freestone and Spring-A-Ding, some spring nationals, and the like core group that I have, the racing group, like they love going to those. So I usually go with them and can be there to help them at those. So we do that every year, and it's been really fun. That's in like 4 weeks or 5 weeks or so.
Yeah, it's coming up
So
fast.
yeah, it's coming up. So I'm like, I gotta get on my bike.
Tell us a little bit about the dynamic with your parents. That's always, as a dad, I'm always interested to talk to somebody, especially somebody a little bit older, that's gone all the way through the process. You know, Logan's still right in the thick of it with me, and especially being my firstborn. Unfortunately, he is the one cutting the path for everything, so he bears the brunt of any bad behavior I have. Unfortunately, how was the dynamic with your mom and dad when you were racing?
Really good.
Yeah.
My parents were awesome. They support me in everything. I mean, my dad was my best friend, still is.
Nice.
But yeah, I mean, I have a little brother too that raced with us.
Oh, okay.
So me, my dad, my little brother, my mom would tag along every once in a while, and we would go to all the races. And it was fun. It was just really a family thing to do. You don't realize it, but you're making like some really cool memories with your dad. Some things that you'll never forget. I mean, it's cool for you right now, but then you're going to look back and be like, that was really cool. Like we went, like me, my mom, and my little brother, my dad, we would get in my van and we would travel on a Thursday night to drive. My dad would drive through the night. We would get to Texas in the morning on Friday, and we would race on Friday and Saturday and drive home Sunday so that my dad could go to work on Monday.
Wow.
And it was wild. We would go to all these national arena cross races and I worked full time. My dad worked full time. My brother was still in high school, so we kind of lived the dream. But just really, really cool memories of, you know, traveling around with your family and being there together, and being able to like kind of learn and grow and just have a ton of memories with your family.
Sounds like us right now. Austin, me is racing. Like family at the track. I've made a lot of memories in the past and now.
I know for me, it feels that way. I hope it ends up feeling that way. You know, like when you're Skyler's age and you're looking back and, you know, I'm kind of out of the picture and you're kind of doing it on your own. I hope it works out like that. What's the saying? To you, your dad is only a chapter, but to your dad, you're the whole book.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I would say as a dad, that's true.
Yeah, for sure.
For me, this is my entire world. Everything that these guys are doing,
Yeah.
like, you know, like I'm having the time of my life. You know what I mean? But I hope when he looks back, because you know, I definitely have my dad moments. You know, I'm not gonna lie. Definitely have my dad moments.
It's not always fun at the races. It's not. I'll be the first one to admit it. It's not always fun. It's work for everybody, and I mean, everyone knows it's expensive.
Right.
It's a grind. It's expensive. It's a lot of work, but I mean, nothing like amazing comes easily.
Yeah. And that's the way I feel. My wife hates it, 'cause, you know, and that's what she says. It's so much work. It's so much money. And I'm like, yeah, but we'll never get to repeat all this with our kids. We only get like 18 years, really, you know, like one little trip with them and then they're gone and they got their own families. And so I can't imagine anywhere else. I'd rather spend my time and money right now than with these boys. And you know what I mean?
We'll try this. Stay home one weekend. What are you going to do?
I hate it when that weekend comes around. I don't know what to do with myself. I'm like, what are we doing, you know?
If you're like, that's what we were. It's like, if we weren't racing or going to a track, like, what do normal people do?
Yeah.
I have no idea.
I feel so out of sorts.
It may not be good. That's probably a weird problem to have, but like, what do normal people do?
Yeah.
I don't play golf. I don't play checkers. I don't play basketball. It's like the dirt bike is the only thing the family knew.
Right. I had a thought and then it just went. Sorry, we're going to be cutting all this stuff.
Oh, yeah, you're good.
My nose is killing me.
I was going to say, do you need to go blow your nose real quick?
Yes, I need to.
Go blow your nose real quick. Ah, man, I had something I was going to ask, and now it's driving me nuts. Oh, I was going to try and swing it back to training. Mm-hmm. So when Logan gets back down here, I'm trying to figure out how to I'd like to ask you some training questions, like, you know, but I don't want you to feel like you're giving away trade secrets either.
There's no secrets. Everyone's a different book.
So I wasn't sure how to really ask anything that would be useful. I'd like to think of the podcast as also educational for people that maybe are just getting in.
You got it.
You know what I mean? That maybe haven't really raced much or something like that. And so I was like, you know, when we set this up, I was like, what would be the best way to deliver any kind of useful information? And I was like, should I just ask general questions, or should we like use Logan, like maybe the work you've been doing with Logan as like a case in point?
Yeah.
What do you think would be the
if you bring it in that way with him, I can kind of explain what he was doing and how it affects the rider and the bike. And then also I could wrap it around and be with, you know, take it all the way through like to a brand new rider.
Okay.
So yeah, that would work.
Maybe that's what I'll try to do. That's what I was thinking when you were talking.
Some issues, maybe some issues that he was having on the bike or something. I can kind of break it down a little bit, and then I could circle back around with newer riders as well.
Okay. Yeah, when he gets back down, we'll do that. We're just about an hour now, so that should be pretty good if we do some of that. Is there anything else you do want to cover at all?
Mm-hmm. Let me see. I did have some questions for you guys too. I put my phone.
Oh, you did? Wow.
I guess that's funny. That was one of my questions, was the relationship with your family because of racing. And then just like general racing questions, you know, when he started and how old he was, when he moved up onto certain bikes and certain classes, and how he knew when it was time to move up. Because right now, you know, he's long. He's a tall kid.
Yeah, you definitely you should ask him if you want to know that stuff. Right now we're in a weird spot because he still has 2 more years technically on the 85, really? And we've always left a class 2 years early. So on the 50, he still had 2 years left, but we bought Grayson Townsend's 65, and he kind of got a taste of that, and he's like, "Dad, I don't want to do that anymore." So we just moved, and then he did the 65 and 85 simultaneously. But then he still left the 65 2 years early. But yeah, maybe we should save that for the podcast. If you do you want to do that after the training stuff?
Yeah, that's okay.
Better? You want your hat back on, or are you good?
No.
Are you good? Okay.
But it might come back. Thanks.
All right. So Skyler, I did want to ask you some questions specific, because you are, you know, from my perspective, a really incredible trainer.
Thanks.
And I did really want to kind of ask you some questions about training. But, you know, I didn't want you to feel like you're giving away trade secrets or anything like that.
I'm an open book. You know, everyone's a different rider. Has got their own little things they got to work on. So there's no secrets.
Well, I'd like to think that the podcast could be a source for information for people that are just getting into the sport, younger kids, or, you know, moms and dads that don't really, you know, have any idea what to do, right? Mm-hmm. You know, kids start and their toes are turned out and they're sitting down, you know, like there's all kinds of little bad habits. And so I wasn't really sure how to frame it. And I thought maybe we could use Logan as a case in point to kind of, maybe you could kind of point out, you know, when you recently started working with him, some of the bad habits that he had, and maybe what you were suggesting to him and stuff like that. Would that work for you?
Yeah. You can correct me if I'm wrong too.
Yeah.
So what I remember, our first weekend, I guess we could call it, training in Mesquite, was you were really good about not touching your clutch in the corner, which is awesome and pretty unique to an 85 rider.
Yeah,
Usually it's completely the opposite, right? But what I do remember is you shifting down, I want to say, to first gear in pretty much every corner, which helped you not be on your clutch because you were in that power band, but the bike didn't have any more power to give you to get you through the corner. So you can only go so fast in first gear, right? So I think that was one of the main things we worked on, was not shifting all the way down. You know, you still do have to shift down, but you don't need to be in first for every corner. Especially, I mean, you're a good rider, you're fast. You should be able to go through a corner in third gear, let's say, and still be in the power band, so that bike can kind of stick to a corner. But that is something that stuck out to me about you a lot, just because that's not normal. You know, and usually it's like everyone's in third gear or fourth gear, fifth gear the whole time, just wow, 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 in their clutch, right?
And I had no idea until he got back to the pits, and he was telling me that, you know, that you were telling him that, and I was like, you're down in first? I had no idea. I was like, first, I was like maybe second once in a while, but first, I was like blown away.
Yeah, I go in the first, like going up to basically use my engine to brake myself sometimes instead of using my rear brake because I'm not used to it. And then I'd shift up going into the corner to second. But some corners I have like so much speed I shift down and then stay in for first, shift up in second. Kind of like that.
Yeah, pattern. So you were like, and you would get out of a corner and your bike would have no more power. So you were like
shifting up three times.
Double, triple shifting, trying to get to the right gear to hit a jump or to hit the next section, right? That was one thing that stuck out to me about you. Another thing I think we worked on, which is pretty normal for everybody, because a lot of parents like to just say stand up, right? Which is great, standing up, because typically a rider's just sitting on their butt the whole time, and they can't go fast because the track is so rough and they're just getting beat up, right? But no one ever talks about when you sit down or where you sit down for a corner, which is kind of funny to me, but I get it, because most of the parents, they don't ride, or they haven't, or they don't race, or they do and they're on the same level as their kid maybe. So that was another thing we worked on, was where we sit down, and there's never like a right answer on where to sit down, because each corner is a little bit different. But I am very, how do I put this, like, I do everything the same. Like, everything in life. I've noticed this about myself, which is probably kind of weird. Everything I do has to be in a certain way. That way I can do it right every time. So, and I am not the perfect rider. I'm not even the fastest rider. I can think of probably 20 people in Utah that are faster than me. But I do something really well where I can kind of see stuff, I feel like, and I mean, it's what I do for a living, so I can pick things out a little bit easier than most people. But the way I teach is there's a setup zone for every corner, right? You can't go pin down a straightaway and be able to continue that speed through the whole corner. Some corners you can, most of them you won't be able to. So in your setup zone, there's got to be somewhere you need to brake or shift down, or maybe we have to sit down and get our leg up, right? And in that setup zone is where we're going to do that. So that, and I mean, we kind of get into depth with it. Each corner is a little bit different, but it's usually before a rut. You know, there's some ruts have a big hole, you know, midway through, and that's going to be our setup zone. That's where we're going to kind of sit and get that leg out. But each corner is a little bit different. But I remember that about you is we didn't really know exactly where we needed to sit, which is, you know, it's pretty normal because everyone just says stand up, stand up, stand up, and then it gets to the point where they're in a rut and they're like, when do I get to sit down? Right? And that'll affect your balance quite a bit and stuff. But that was some stuff that I remember we worked on our first few weeks, and now we're kind of into like the braking part of stuff.
And also especially like the roller section to the inside at Mesquite. Yeah,
that one's a tricky one, huh? Yeah, because that one you kind of do have to shift down. You have to shift down in the air to be able to get to that, and you kind of have to set up yourself a little bit wider so that you can cut and get into a rut. And that's some stuff that parents don't really see, and I don't know if it's because I do this or just because I've been on the track, but some of those ruts and lines they're really far inside, and that makes the corner super tight. So to be able to have your kid, even on a 65 can jump some of those jumps, but to be able to get to the inside of rut is pretty challenging. And to be able to do it and be able to slow down enough and have your balance right and be off your brakes and be able to be in the right gear and be ready for it, it's challenging. So that's what I remember with you, Logan, when we were working on everything. Is there anything else you remember?
Not really. Kind of covered everything, braking, shifting up, and that was the main thing. Like standing up, kind of bouncing through the rollers, which I nailed down just this last weekend. Okay. I practiced because I did it 2 times, but the last time I did it perfect. I instead of just using my gas to try and jump over them, I kind of just like blipped it and like jumped with my bike, and then I got like I was still going fast, but I was like kind of like slowing down. Yeah. Every time I do it.
Yeah, because the more gas you give it, right? We can go, maybe the jump takes, let's call it 20 miles an hour to hit it perfectly, right? And that's just, standing up, knees locked, and you can jump it. But there's certain ways that we can manipulate the bike to jump a little bit differently, so we don't need to land with all of that speed. We can go up with our bike instead of straight out. Some of those jumps want to put you straight out, and then you land and you're going so fast that you can't turn. So we have to manipulate the bike a little bit to better make it go up a little bit more. So then when we land, we're not coming down at 20 miles an hour. We're coming down maybe at 15, and we can manage getting into a rut. So there's a lot. And I mean, I don't know. Have you ever been trained or taught before?
Yeah, by Riley.
Okay.
Riley Bruff. Yeah, he was my trainer back in 22 for Loretta's and all that. I was training with him a lot before.
From like 19 to 22, we trained with Riley and McCoy quite a bit. Since then, we haven't really been that serious enough that I felt like it was needful. But, coming back into this winter series and he was just getting waxed, I'm like, wow,
Yeah.
So, yeah. Sure. And like what you said, it describes me. I didn't race. I didn't have a dirt bike when I was little. You know what I mean? My whole dirt bike experience started in 18, I guess, when he got his first
with him
dirt bike. And so, I would definitely recommend to parents, if you don't have any experience riding or especially racing, don't hesitate to get a trainer and don't hesitate to look up Skyler because, Logan's always been pretty fast. He's won the series. He's been to Loretta's, and I feel like when he started working with you, you still like immediately showed him so much stuff that I didn't know that he was doing, or maybe didn't even. He's reached a point to where he's so far exceeded any of my knowledge that I don't really feel like I'm any help. You know what I mean? I watch him and it's like, well, you know what you're doing. I'll suggest stuff to him like, can you stay on the gas a little longer here? Yeah. But I really don't know.
Which is normal for parents too.
So
that's, I hear that often. That's for sure.
So for new riders out there, like my little boy, this is his first year racing as a beginner. What would you say are just a handful of the very most important things when somebody's really green and just starting out, would you say are the most important things to keep them doing?
I'd say mostly toes. A lot of people don't ride with their toes in, right? And that's just normal and naturally. I don't know why our bodies like to sit with our toes out. That'll help the bike really stay more stable, steady, and you're not going to snag your foot on a rut or a bump or something, which you don't want to do. Sure, you've done it. I've done it multiple times.
Done it. And it hurts.
Yeah, it doesn't feel good.
I think you did it this last weekend when you hurt your ankle, didn't you?
No, that was coming through the rollers, and I tried to shift down and all that, and I think my foot got stuck underneath the shifter, and I full on smacked the top of the lip, and then my ankle, because my boot has the soft spot on the back, so I could flex it up and down, and my peg just dug into that just right, and then I just see my ankle just swell up. I'm like, it just started hurting.
Yeah.
But I mean, I could still ride, but it kept getting worse and worse. I'm like, I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, but keeping your toes in is pretty important, and it's not something a lot of people know if they're really green, right?
Right.
A lot of people just tell their kids to stand up, and they'll stand up and lock their legs, and they're not using the bottom half of their body to absorb any of the energy that's going down through the bike, right? So, there's that attack position that you need to be in on a bike. And that's not locking your legs, it's using your knees and your ankles to kind of absorb, your body as you're jumping or going through bumps or something. How I like to explain it to kids is if you were just standing on your feet, and I'll do this for the camera, like this, and I told you to jump, you wouldn't jump and land like this, boom.
Right.
You would jump and land like this. So you want to be really soft on the bike because the more weight, the more pressure you're putting on the bike, it's going to change it a little bit, right? We're going to hit bumps a little bit harder if we call it riding kind of heavy. Some people ride heavy on the bike. I'm a person that's always just rode really heavy on the bike. You can see Jet rides really light on a bike and super mellow on the bike. The bike will, it reacts a little bit softer, a little bit easier. He's just like the prime example that everyone loves to use just because he's really good at what he does, right?
Right.
But yeah, I think with toes and, you know, standing in that attack position and getting like a kid into that, and then you can kind of get into where you sit down and when you sit down, like we were talking before. A lot of people that ride, everyone just knows to stand up, but no one ever tells them when to sit down or where to sit down or how each corner is going to change where they're going to sit down.
And I usually give my little man just generic sit down at the apex.
Yeah, right? Like, or elbows up, right?
Yeah.
You see that one a lot, which is great.
He does. He droops his elbows, and I wish I could get him to lock his legs, and then maybe I could find a middle ground. He squat rides.
Okay.
He'll stand up,
really squatty,
but he's like bending his knees, like he's about ready to sit down. You know,
like in the process of going down.
Yeah. And I'm like, dude, that's terrible. Your legs are gonna get so tired trying to hold that position. I'm like, straighten your legs out, bring your knees back, poke your butt out.
Bring your knees back a little bit. You need a little bit of bend in there to help yourself, but yeah, you don't want to lock them. That's for sure.
It scares me when he lands on jumps because he goes like boom.
He like sits,
and then his suspension collapses because he's just like this. He's like.
He's doing better. Like he started like actually getting pretty close to clearing some of that stuff on the vet track, and he had some really gnarly. He would stand up for the jump, but it's like he would sit down in the air, and so when he would land, he would just like take these nasty bounces, and I'm like, good heck, dude. Yeah, so this last weekend he was doing a lot better. I was like, dude, you need to land standing up. Or you're just gonna just bounce right off and go off the track.
And I think the main track taught him better than the vet because it was way more rough to where he kind of had to stand up, and he figured that out fast.
Couldn't get lazy with it, or he would feel it.
It's amazing how making him do something hard in the morning sets the tone for the rest of the day. Like if I don't make him go out on the main, his vet, you know, like he only has like 4 vet practices, and he'll do okay. They'll get progressively better, right? But if I have him ride the main, it's amazing how much better all of a sudden he's riding the vet, you know? Yeah. And so he doesn't like to go out to the main. It still really intimidates him, and he usually crashes on the first practice. He usually crashes 3 or 4 times. They have to come around with a gator and get him. And I got one of those headsets now. I wish I had one when he was that young, but I got one of them headsets, and I can hear him. I hate this, you know?
Stupid track.
Yeah. And I'm like, you know, come on, bud. It's making you tough. And, but yeah, it's amazing how just doing that one little tough part just sets the rest of the day. He just makes these huge improvements.
Well, that main track's pretty gnarly for a little bike.
Yeah.
Those ruts are deep.
They are.
The jumps are big.
Especially after the last race on my last moto, I could not imagine how bad the ruts got. There were just bumps everywhere. Just like almost like desert, just straight up desert on a track. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was like probably one of the worst times I feel like I've ridden there because I liked it, but it was really rough.
Yeah, what amazes me is we even have kids like locally around here that are, I don't know, when you're 6 years old, 8 years old, and they're like crazy on a bike. They are so good, like technically wise, you know, the family kind of knows, I don't know how they know, but they know a lot about moto. They're like in it, right? And I'm like, that kid's been riding for 3 years. How is he so good? Like it's amazing how some kids are just naturally better, or they pick up on things quick. It's pretty crazy. Even like at Loretta's, I love to watch, you know, every class at Loretta's, but the cool part about Loretta's is when you're down there, there's all different types of bike sizes, skill levels, but it doesn't matter what class you're watching. Everyone's going as fast as they can, and everyone's pretty good.
Yeah. Like
even watching the P'd up class, which is the smallest 50 you can get, those kids are going fast, and there's always battles, and it's just amazing to me how much they know, like racecraft and technique, and you know how they can change how the bike is going to react in certain dirt or bumps, or because there's sand there's deep ruts, there's a little bit of hard pack stuff, so there's just so much different stuff that they're seeing, and they're 6 years old.
Yeah.
Even an 8-year-old, 12-year-old, it's crazy. You've learned a lot very quickly.
Yep. Yeah, there'll never be anything like it. I feel like if you can race dirt bikes, man, everything else in your life is gonna seem easier in comparison.
Right. Like it all translates, right?
I think motocross is definitely the hardest sport that you can do. And I feel like it teaches you a lot of stuff. Like, it teaches your body to be healthy and strong. You have to have fast reflex times. You have to do, like, so much thinking with clutch levers, throttle. But eventually that kind of just comes natural because you've been doing it so long. But still, all that stuff helps me in other sports. Like, basketball just seems really easy now.
Yeah. What about the mental side of it, too? That's stuff that it doesn't get talked about a lot, but it's
high.
Yeah, it's 80 or 90% of the sport is just mental.
I feel like that's really what Logan's wrestling with right now.
Yeah.
Is more than anything is just mental. Like, you know, he's a teenager now. You know, he's 13. You know, he's kind of going through that change now, and yeah, like trying to get back into this. You know, he says he wants to be pro. You know, whatever that means. I always ask my guests when they say, I want to be pro, what does that mean?
There's a few different levels.
Right. You know, and what he means is
TV pro.
I want to be
perfect.
You know, freaking Chance Hymas or, you know, Deegan or whatever. I want to be on TV. And I'm like, wow, that's, you know, that's big stuff, big goals, you know, but it's weird because, you know, we know what the template is, but I feel like we just can't quite find the rhythm right now.
Yeah.
With you.
I just kind of get nervous, and then sometimes, like, I'll have a good moto, like the one I got fourth in, and then other times I don't have a good moto. Like, I think it's mainly my starts, too. If I get my starts better, I'll do better, but I have to get that down, and then I think the other half's just my nerves, because it's just crazy to think that sometimes you don't feel scared, but your body's just kind of shaking, like, but...
The adrenaline's getting you, yeah.
We always used to fight with that. It was amazing after a few years of doing it. Like, he would always get nervous at the gate, but after a few years and really good results, and like, you know, he was very seasoned at it. I was always surprised that like he'd kind of be quiet, and you know, and I'm standing behind him at the gate. I could see the back of his head, but every once in a while he'd turn around and I'd see his eyes were red and kind of teary through them goggles. And I'd be like, what's going on? And he's like, Dad, I'm nervous. And I'm like, really? After this many races?
I guarantee if you did it at that high of a level, you'd be nervous too.
I'm sure I would. I just, it blew me away because you were doing so good. And I was like, what do you have to be nervous about? You know, but yeah, nerves is always something we've kind of wrestled with.
A lot of highs and lows of racing, right?
Yeah.
There's a lot. The highs are high and the lows are low.
Yeah.
Well, I understand you got some questions for us. Is that true?
I do.
Going to be an interesting experience. We're getting interviewed.
Yeah.
Yeah. Huh? The interviewer's getting interviewed.
I don't get interviewed much.
All right. My first one. How has your relationship changed with your dad and your brother, I guess? And even your mom as well, I guess. Just because of racing.
I feel like it's changed a lot because I've got to spend more time with my dad, and he's been by my side the entire time. So I feel like if I didn't do this, we wouldn't have built this as big relationship as we have now than if I didn't do it, because he's been by my side the entire time. He's been helping me, and it's been really fun doing it with him. And then also it makes me feel happy to see my brother go out and do what I do, because I feel like it's really cool. And then we all get to spend time together. And then also with my mom, I feel like it's gotten us slightly closer, but I'm not sure because she doesn't really like to do it. She's just like, money.
Money and injury. She's a worrier, money and injury.
Yeah. She has so much anxiety. It just almost scares me because she's scared about everything, it seems like. But she's done really good. She's done really good. I'm happy that she still comes, because sometimes. And
I want to speak a little of that and give you a little shout out. Just some background. My mom and dad got divorced when I was 2, so my dad was out of the picture. My dad was never around in my life, really. I got to see him like maybe once a year for a day or two, but he wasn't like really an active figure in my life. And so I didn't really have anybody to model, you know, a good father figure after, you know what I mean? So it's been 100% like figure this out on your own, right? And then to add to that, I was married for 16 years before Leslie. My first wife, we didn't have kids. She was, you know, a full-time student. She got her PhD in chemistry, and We had just moved back to Cedar City in 2009, and she passed away from a brain aneurysm.
Oh, wow.
We didn't have any kids or anything like that. And, and it seems funny looking back. I mean, I was only 32 at the time, and so here at almost 50, I felt like my life was over. I thought, oh man, that's it. I'm never going to have kids. I might as well just crawl under a rock and die. That's the way it felt. That my whole life crumbled. And, and then I met Leslie about a year later. And then, a couple of years after that, we had Logan. And I can't even really put into words, what that meant to me, having him come into my life. You know what I mean? And I've been I probably overcorrect trying to be the dad that my dad wasn't. I probably try really hard to overshoot that, but I will tell you that all the time that we spent on the road traveling and stuff like that, the bond that he and I developed, I hope it survives those teenage years, those tough teenage years. I hope it does, like you and your dad, you say he's your best friend. Yeah. I really hope it is getting to be a little bit of a struggle now. He's got different things going on, and it's harder now. But it is my eternal hope that we're still best buds.
You are.
When you're in your 20s and stuff like that. But it's been the experience of my life being able to travel and do this with him.
Yeah, there really is nothing better, I think, for a father and a son.
Yeah,
or, even your brother. Right, being able to be with each other, even if you're not on the road, just little local races. There's so much that you go through together at a race or just at a practice.
Yeah,
that I don't think you get that very many other places. There's a lot of those school sports or stick and ball stuff. That I don't think you really have your dad in your ear. Right, you're not in it together.
Right,
he's more on the sidelines, and you're just kind of there with your team.
Yeah,
right, but
this is kind of like a son and dad sport or mom sport, because it's you're solo basically, and you and one of your parents or all, like, your whole family kind of like is your own team type of thing.
Yeah, for sure. It's a whole family thing.
Yeah, you
can't do it on your own, and you're not going to want to. You don't want to try.
And it's been so much fun going back to the beginning with my little man. Like those little experiences on his 50 and stuff that we used to have at the beginning. Now the Aussie's doing it. It's like, man, I remember this. So much. And sometimes when you're in a situation, you're kind of focused on the situation and you don't really get the chance to really appreciate it for what it is at the time.
Yeah.
And that's been super unique with Aussie now. I'm reliving it, and I'm really taking the time.
I got to take this in.
Yeah, looking around like I remember this. This is familiar, and it's been really fun, really unique. So yeah,
that's funny. I get the same thing racing now. I'm like, I remember when me and my dad were at Loretta's. I remember when we were traveling to all these arena cross races, and now it's like I have a sister, and she's got 4 kids, and I have my brother just had his first, and I guess I just haven't grown up yet, but I'm not there, and the track is just where I'm at. Right. And it's funny because I'm at the track. I'm at these places that we've gone to for years together. As a family, or as me, my brother, my dad, and it's like, oh man, I remember when we did this. This was so cool. This was so fun, and yeah, just stuff that you won't forget. That's for sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, I guess my other question was, when you interview all these people and you ask them about all their racing, but we don't know Logan, I feel like he's got a story too, and maybe this needs to be a podcast between the both of you. But I remember Logan racing, I think it was a 65, and he was fast. He was great. He was very good. And then he was just gone. Mm-hmm. And I followed him on Instagram. I don't know if I followed him as he was racing or if it was after the fact, but then he started doing like karate or
jiu-jitsu, and then some snowboarding and all that.
Yeah, and I remember seeing all that stuff. I'm like, oh, this is weird. He stopped racing, whatever. And then all of a sudden, when you came back, everyone's like, Logan Mauer's here. I'm like, what do you mean he doesn't race anymore? No, he's back, and he looks really good. He's fast. I'm like, yeah, he was fast before. So I think maybe just briefly, go through a few things that highlights of what you've done, where you started, what you did, when you moved up, when you think you're going to move up from where you are right now onto that 125 full time, and kind of, give us a little backstory on you.
Okay. So, I started out, my parents, my dad and my mom were never around motocross, and, it was really only my idea. So basically I was out with my friend one day, and I saw this electric, like the little electric dirt bikes that you can get at Walmart and all that.
The little razors.
Yeah, like the razor ones. I saw that, and I rode it. And
I didn't know that though. I didn't know it was an electric.
Yeah, and I was like, that's so cool. And so then I go back that day and ask my dad for can I get a dirt bike? And my friend has one, and it looks so cool, and I'd like to ride. And then he's like, I don't think they make dirt bikes that small. But he did some research and found TTR50, a Yamaha, right? And that was actually a one that you have to shift with no clutch. So basically like a pit bike. And I started on that and did trail rides. But honestly, it was way better than the electric one, and I enjoyed that. And we did a lot of trail rides and all that. And then my dad got a 450, which he claims was a big mistake.
Big mistake for me. Way
too much power. And then we went on trail rides for about a year and a half. And then we were watching videos like on how to ride better and all that. And I saw people racing while I was watching that. And then we'd start, and I'm like, is there people racing dirt bikes? And then we did some research. Like we watched some Supercross. I remember I was in your bedroom one night watching Supercross, and then overnight I was just like, I want to race. And so that's how that all started. And first race was in St. George, SGMMX, that mud race, and raced that my first time. And yeah, that's how I got started. And then from there, moved up bikes. The transition from the 50 to the 65 was a little bit like weird, but I got the hang of it really fast, and then was only on the.
I don't think it was weird at all. Like we bought Grayson Townsend, one of Grayson Townsend's 65s.
To me, it was.
And immediately, like it happened so fast. Like we just bought this Cobra.
Yeah.
Like he started on a KTM 50, but I noticed all the Cobras were waxing him, and so I was like, well, I guess we better buy a Cobra. So we literally raced it for the Winter Series. I bought this super expensive Cobra. We raced it for the Winter Series, and then I bought Grayson's bike. Logan started riding that a little bit and was like, Dad, I don't want to ride that 50 anymore. And I'm like, I just bought this.
Like the transition from this 50 to the 65 was a little weird, but I caught on fast, and I loved it so much more. So then that's when I started racing 65s from, I think it was 2020.
Yeah, you did 2020 to 2022.
Yeah, and racing that on 65s, did mainly RMX, and then, RMX, and then hit some nationals, and then that's how I made it to Loretta's. Then after that, I stopped for 2 years, and 3 years, and then while I was stopped, I did some jiu-jitsu and all that, because my mom and dad felt like it would be good for me to learn some self-defense, stay active and all that. And then also, before I quit, it was just getting so much pressure on our family. Literally every weekend we'd be at a race or practice, and we'd be like,
started to become a job, I think.
Yeah.
It was more of a job than fun. At the start of every year, I guess in the fall you start sending in your applications for your sponsors, and then you're trying to figure out, what are we going to do this year? Are we going to do a series? Are we going to, so in 2022, we'd done Loretta's, and we were in the Winter Series after that. And he was saying, I want to do more nationals this year. Like, I don't want to do a series. I want to focus on nationals. And it's like, okay, that's a lot of travel and a lot of miles. We're going to go bigger now, is what you're talking about, and like you had talked about earlier, where are we going to ride? Where are we going to get all the seat time?
Exactly.
How's that going to happen? And so I was in the midst of like, in my head, like, okay, how am I going to put all these pieces together? And meanwhile, when we go to the track, his lap times he'd picked up almost 10 seconds a lap, so he'd gone from like maybe 154 to like a 202. And I'm like looking at him like, well, that's not national
We're not going
competition.
fast.
What are you doing? You know, you've got to be going faster, not slower.
Yeah,
and so
and then
we were down there for a race. You know, it just barely clicked over to 23. And it might have been the last winter series, or it might have been the first summer series. I can't remember which.
it was the last summer series. Like I
No,
remember.
that would have been the first summer series in Mesquite.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So it was like February, kind of like this. And his lap times were really slow, and we got home that night, and I was having a moto dad moment, like, you know, what are you doing? You know, you want us to spend all this money, but what's going on? You know, I just didn't understand.
And I finally admitted, well, because I heard my dad say, if you really don't want to do this, tell me. And that he'd say that, he said that before because he's seen that I've got slow lap times before. And then that really got in my head. And then I was just feeling like I was just burnt out. So then I just finally decided to say, you know what? I want to stop racing for right now. I want to like do snowboarding.
He just wanted to do some other stuff besides dirt bikes. He's like, you know, can we buy wave runners? Can we? Yeah, sure. If we, we'll probably have plenty of money if we're not racing, you know. Right. So yeah, he just wanted to take some time off, but it kind of turned into 2 years, and so that was a tough period of time for me because I was used to seeing Logan at a high level, and I have to admit first couple of months after he stopped, and he just went back to being just a normal kid, just a normal neighborhood kid.
I could tell it was hard for you.
It was weird for me because it was like he's just playing video games and he's just playing with kids, and you know, like you said, on the weekends you're like used to,
let's go do something.
Oh man,
we know where we got to be.
And now all of a sudden I didn't have anything, you know, and I'm watching him like really not achieving anything. He just wanted to just do nothing, and I'm like, man, that first 2 months was really hard.
Yeah, it really is a whole family. Everyone puts all their chips in, and you do it. And the hard part is you loved it too, right?
I do. That's an interesting question. I hate some of it. I hate all the prep, all the cleanup. I will be so happy when I never have to wash or maintain a dirt bike again. When
He's
I'm
old
done
enough
with
to wash his own bike.
Yeah, I've been helping.
He's been doing it. One of the problems is that I keep all our dirt bikes and stuff at my shop.
Got it.
Instead of here. And the reason for that is I own a mechanic shop, and so all my tools are there and stuff. And so I've really deprived him. That's my fault. I've really deprived him of the experience of servicing and maintaining and washing his bikes because I drop him off at the shop and he's here.
Yeah.
And so I wash him at the end of my workday, you know, and stuff like that. But recently he's doing Iron Online now, school, and now he works with me at my shop. And so, yeah, he's getting a lot more experience doing that now. But I don't like all the packing up, all the travel, all the cleaning and stuff like that. That kind of the minutia I don't like, but
I think it's worth it.
My wife and I, you know, a lot of people watch football. My wife and I watch Supercross. We watch motocross. We love watching Supercross and motocross. And I love the time that I get to spend with my kids and stuff like that. But, you know, I don't love it all. But
it's not all fun.
Right.
Even days at the track when you're not packing, you're unpacking, you're cleaning, you're maintaining, it's not always fun.
Yeah.
But everyone just keeps coming back, and like I said, the highs are really high and the lows are low.
Yeah. And then to finish my story, after those 2 years off, like ever since I stopped that dirt bike, like it always made me sad that I stopped because I missed it so much because I had so many memories and I actually loved it. And then I just got kind of sick of just sitting at home and.
We never really sat at home.
I know we do stuff, but I was just kind of getting like this feeling like I was so good at it, and I just stopped. Like I don't know why I stopped. So that always lingered in my head, and then just kind of gave up like hanging out with friends and all that. Like now I'm full time with Dad basically, and don't really hang out with friends anymore, and I just focus on dirt bikes because my friends are at the track. And my hobby's at the track.
Everything's there, right? That's how I was.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was like when I'm at home, I'm hanging out with Dad. We're working on the bike or probably a vehicle that needs some stuff done before we head out for the weekend. And then when I'm at the track, I was a little bit different. I never really had I didn't have a group of friends that I hung out with down
Me
there.
neither.
It was like, I'm with my dad, and then we go to the gate together, and then I race, and then I go back to my trailer or the truck, and I'm there with my dad. It was never like, okay, see ya, I'm going to go hang out with my friends. I didn't really have friends.
Why do you think that is? The reason I ask is he's always been the same way.
I haven't.
He hasn't really had a bunch of friends there.
I don't know. There was obviously kids my age, and I was just always with my dad. It was just something that we did together. And now I see it with everybody that I'm working with, all those 85 riders, and they've got a group of, there's probably 10 of them.
Yeah.
And they just roll around together.
They're pretty tight knit. Yeah.
I'm like, that looks really fun, but I never had that. I don't regret anything, but it's just a little bit different than what I had. And not saying that they're not close with their parents at all, but I mean, it was just me and my dad, just what we did, and it worked out.
That's interesting. Yeah, that's exactly the way we were. Yeah. And I was like, go hang out with somebody. Go hang out. Like, but he just couldn't quite find that rhythm.
Yeah, even at home, I was never like, oh, I'm going to go hang out with all my friends. It was like, we're here doing this. We're going to work on bikes. Today we're doing top ends, or I got to do my filter so I can go ride or whatever it is. But it was like, I was just with my dad. Just what we did.
Anyway, to finish my story again.
What? There's more?
Yeah. So, switch from the 65 to the 85. I love the 85, but been racing that in the RMX series some more. Haven't been doing as many nationals, just getting back into it. But I think for the future, I feel like I'm just gonna go 125, full 125, because I feel like I'm tall enough. I'm old enough to do it, and
I was gonna ask you.
I don't feel like there's really any gain on the 85 anymore, because I might hit a really big growth spurt, and that's just gonna be like way too small. But I feel like the sooner I could get on the 125, I can get like higher placement, because I've already got experience on it while everyone switches to it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was going to kind of ask you, on that subject. I mean, as you watch him, do you feel like he's just playing too big now for the 85?
He is you've got some long legs on you,
I do.
Which get in your way, but it's not, I wouldn't say it's a bad thing. It's just something that you just have long legs. You got to deal with it, right?
Looks like Aaron Plessinger out there or something
right?
on the thing.
But I get this question often, actually, with not even just kids I work with just parents in general that are at the track. And my answer is always, what are you trying to build? Are you trying to build an 85 racer, or are you trying to build a big bike racer? Because like right now you said you're kind of maybe tapped, or I mean, maybe you can let's say you get 2 more years out of your 85, but then you have that transition period with everybody else onto the big bike. When in reality, if you just threw the little bike away and you were on the big bike, you would have 2 extra years before everybody else moved up.
Yeah.
And maybe you get bigger too, and maybe you don't get those full 2 years on the little bike. But that's always my answer is, what are you building, right? Are you in it for the long haul? And maybe that's like a rude question. But
I feel like some riders and parents maybe have their kids stay on a bike so, they can collect more hardware.
Yeah.
Right.
Which is cool. I think everyone rides and races for different reasons. And
I've always been kind of like, whenever you feel like you're done with that bike, be done with it. You know? And it's usually worked out to be about 2 years early. Because he's always been tall. And I feel like, watching him on the 85, he's kind of a monster on it. And we've got this 125, and I'm looking at it like, maybe that bike starts to fit you a lot better, at this point. So it has kind of been our intention as we've talked about it. What are we going to do this summer? And we're thinking that at the end of this winter series, we are going to sell the 85s and just go full 125.
Yeah, I think that's if you're trying to be if you're wanting to race, and if that your goal is to go pro, or maybe you want to be like a local A rider in 4 years or 5 years, put a time limit on it. I mean, the 85 is great, but the sooner you can get on a big bike, I think it's the better, just because you're going to have 2 extra years on that bike.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Well, that's all I have to say right now.
Turn the cameras off. We're done.
All right, Forrest Gump. That's all I have to say about that. Well, man, it's been awesome having you here and chatting with you. Is there anything else you'd like to add before we close this out? Anybody you'd like to thank? Any sponsors or mom and dad or anything?
Yeah, I mean, I've had a lot of people help me out through the years. You know, I've been racing for a long time. I'm 20 years. I've been racing 20 years and riding for, I guess you could call it 22.
Wow.
So, I mean, throughout those 20 years, it's hard to thank everybody, right?
Right.
I have the recent sponsors that are here, but you know, as you go through your racing career, you want to call it, or even your life, you know, you have a lot of people through your life that help you get to wherever you are right now. I have a quote I like to say, and you are a product of your actions 30, 60, 90 days from now. And you can even go even more than that, you know, 2 years, 5 years, 6 years, right? You are who you are right now because of everything you've gone through the past however many months, however many years. And I think everyone has a lot of people in their corner, whether they realize it or not, and maybe not even in sports or racing, but just in life. And, you know, like everyone that's helped me, thank you. You know who you are. Everyone that's helping me right now, thank you. You know who you are. And, yeah, I think you are a product of your last 30, 60, 90 days. And if you don't like where you are, change what you're doing and see where you are in 30, 60, 90 days.
Very good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I would definitely, anybody watching, I can't say enough good things about Skyler. If you got a kid that needs some training and needs some sharpening up, or, you know, just from the ground up, make sure you hit up Skyler and check him out. How's the best way to get a hold of you or find you?
I've got an Instagram. My personal one's just Skyler Adams 82, or I think it's Skyler Adams 462. Number changes often. And then my business one, just for training, is Next Level MX Training. And you can message me on either one of those, and I try to reply as quick as possible.
Okay.
All right.
Awesome. Well, thanks again for making the trip up here to
Yeah.
Cedar City.
Thanks
and
for having me
hanging
out.
with
It's
us.
been fun. Like I said before, if anyone has ever traveled with me, they know I'm a podcast guy. I don't listen to music. People probably don't like it, but it's all I listen to is podcasts. So it's cool to be on them.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate you being part of ours, and I think we'll probably see you this weekend. Yeah.
I'll be there.
Gonna be there?
Yeah.
I'll be there.
We'll be there as well. So what do you think? You want to close it out?
Yeah. Well, that's the end of this episode on the Holeshot Hustle, and we'll see you on the next one.
Take care.